Okay, today we are going to solve like terms, and then we're also going to be using that skill in solving equations. So, some examples of like terms: x and 3x, 4x squared and 2x squared. You have to have the same variable raised to the same power. Things that would not be like terms would be like if I wanted to combine a 2x and a 3x squared. They do have the same variable, but they're not raised to the same exponent. So these are examples of things that are not like terms. So let's just look at these examples down below. The first one, we don't have the same variables. This has an x, this has an xy. So you can only add and subtract if they're like terms. Now multiplying and dividing, those are different rules. But you can only add and subtract if they're like terms. Since this one has an x and this one has an xy, I can't combine. So I'm just going to leave it just the way it is. Okay, this next one, these are both t's. So I can combine like terms here. And this t is understood to have a 1 in front of it. You just don't see it. So what is 3t minus 1t? It's 2t. Okay, in problem 3, these are both w cubes, so I can combine those, but this is a w squared, so I can't combine it with these guys. So you just have to ask yourself, what's a negative 9 and a negative 3 give you? Since they're both negative, they add and give you a negative 12, and then whatever the variable is, you just recopy it, and you recopy its power. And then the plus 2w squared, I'm just going to recopy that in the back. So if you're ever adding and subtracting, whatever you start with, w cubed, is what you end with, w cubed. You'll never change the exponent when you're adding and subtracting. Okay, this next one. What does the minus the negative make? A big plus. So these are both d's. I can combine that. 8d plus d makes 9d, because it's like 8d plus 1d. Okay, in the next problem, I notice I do have like terms. These are both t squareds, so I'm going to combine those. And then these are both t's, so I'm going to combine those. If I can, I'll start with the highest exponent. So 4t squared minus 2t squared is 2t squared. And then 3t plus 7t is 10t, and it's positive, so I put plus 10t in the back. Okay, I'm going to clean something up real quick. This minus this negative makes a big plus. Now, do you see some like terms? Here's an xy, and here's an xy. Those are like terms. I can combine those. So what is 4xy plus 2xy? 6xy. You just add the coefficients, and then whatever the variables are, you just recopy them. Now, I can't combine the 3y squared with this minus 5, so I'm just going to recopy the plus 3y squared, and I'm going to recopy the minus 5. In this problem, the reason I didn't start with the y squared, because it has the highest exponent, is because this problem has a mixture of y's and x's in it. And so when there's a mixture of y's and x's in it, most of the time it doesn't matter. But if the problem only has a t in it or only has a w in it, then I like to start with the highest exponent and then go to the smaller one. Okay, so now we're going to be solving equations, which we've done this before. It's just now we're going to combine like terms if we have them on the same side of the equals. So the rule is, if you ever have like terms on the same side of the equals, then you can combine them. So since these c's are both on the left side of the equals, I can combine those. So what is negative 2c plus 1c? A negative 1c, or I could just write a negative c. I'll go ahead and write a negative 1c for now. The plus 12, I can't combine it with the c's, so I just recopy the plus 12. When I look on the right side of the equals, I don't have any like terms to combine, so I just bring down the equals and I bring down the 78. Okay, now that I only have one c, I'm going to circle everything smushed with it. Whatever is outside the circle, I'll add or subtract. So to move the positive 12, I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. The negative 1c, that's in my circle, I'm going to drop it. I drop the equals. 78 minus 12 makes 66. And then how do I undo multiplication? I divide. So I divide both sides by negative 1. And what is 66 divided by negative 1? a negative 66. So we're using the skills that we've been using. It's just now we have an extra rule. And that rule is if you ever have like terms on one side of an equal sign, you want to combine them together. So looking at problem 8, I don't have any like terms on the left side of the equals, so I'm just going to bring down the 7 and the equals. But on the right-hand side, I do have like terms, so I want to combine those. So here's an m, here's an m. What would you get if you combine a negative 4m minus 2m? A negative 6m. And then this plus 1, I just bring it down. Okay, now that I only have one m, I'm going to circle everything smushed with it. Whatever's outside the circle, I'm going to add or subtract. So to move the plus 1, I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. My negative 6m is going to drop down. The equals is going to drop down. And 7 minus 1 makes 6. To undo multiplication, I divide. So I divide both sides by negative 6. And how much is 6 divided by negative 6? A negative 1. And there's my answer for m. Okay, that's not so bad. It's basically what we've been doing before. It's just if you have like terms on the same side of the equals, you get to combine those. All right, let's move to the back. We've got some application problems back here. So I know that that can be a little scary, a little intimidating sometimes, but don't let it be. First question says, what is perimeter? What is it? It's the distance around an object. Perimeter is a distance around an object. If you wanted to put a fence around your yard, you would need to know something about perimeter because the fence would go around the yard, not all in the yard. If I wanted to enclose anything like that with a fence, perimeter is what you want to know. And typically to find perimeter, there are formulas for special shapes. Like there is a formula for perimeter with a rectangle. But you could just add up all the sides. You know, if it's a triangle and I wanted to know what the perimeter was, and this side was 4, and this side was 6, and this side was 5, I would just add up all the sides, 4 plus 5 plus 6. So perimeter you can just get by adding up all the sides. And yes, sometimes the shapes have special formulas, but if you don't know that special formula, just add up all the sides and you'll get your perimeter. All right, let's look at problem number 9. It says a gardener is planting a rectangular garden area in a community garden. His garden will be next to an existing 12-foot fence. So here's that 12-foot fence his garden is going to be up against. The gardener has 44 feet of fencing to build the other 3 sides of his garden. How long will the garden be if the width is 12 feet? Okay, so he's only got 3 sides to his garden. This side, this side, this side, because we have a 12-foot fence here. So he's not going to be doing any fencing in of this because there's already a fence. So he's going to put a fence all around here, here, and here. Okay, so I know if this width is 12, that this width is 12. Now the question the problem is asking is how long will the garden be? How long is this length here? So let me call it x. And if this bottom has a length of x, what would the top have a length of? X. Okay, so since he's trying to put a fence around the outside of this garden, we are talking about perimeter. So I know the perimeter will equal x plus 12 plus x, because those are the 3 sides that are going to be fenced in. Now I actually do know the perimeter. Do you know what it is? It says the gardener has 44 feet of fencing. So that's the perimeter. That's how much fencing he's going to put around this garden. So I can put 44 where the P is. Now on the right side of the equals, I can do some work here. I've got like terms, so if you ever have like terms on the same side of the equals, you want to combine those. So this is like a 1x and a 1x. So what is 1x plus 1x? 2x. And then I just bring down the plus 12. And now I'm just solving for x just like we've done so many times. Let me circle everything smushed with my X. Whatever's outside the circle, I add or subtract. So I'm going to move my plus 12 by subtracting 12. The 2x drops, the equals drops. 44 minus 12 makes 32. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And 32 divided by 2 makes 16. And x is how long the garden will be. And this is in feet. So our garden will be 16 feet long. 16 here, 12 here, 16 here, for a total of 44 feet of fencing. Okay, number 10. The length of the rectangle is 3 inches more than the width. Find the length if the perimeter of the rectangle is 98 inches. So I'm told to draw a picture and label. So I will do that, but before I do that, I want to do something else. We're talking about length and we're talking about width. So off to the side, I'm going to write an L for length and a W for width. This is called defining my variables. In this first sentence, I want to figure out which one they don't give a description of. The length of the rectangle is 3 inches more than the width. Which one doesn't get a description? The length of the rectangle is 3 inches more than the width. The width doesn't get a description, so I'm going to let width be the X. It could be W or whatever letter. And now I'm going to try to describe the length based off of what I read. The length is 3 inches more than the width. I have a switch word in here. Remember our switch words? More than, less than, subtracted from. More than, less than, subtracted from. So when I come across a switch word, I start with the back. What letter did we say represents the width? X. More than, does that mean add, subtract, multiply, or divide? It means add. And then I come to the front, and I see 3 inches, so I put up 3. So this is how we write the length is 3 inches more than the width. Okay, now if I want to draw a picture, my width is X, so these two sides would have a width of X, and my length is X plus 3, so this side would be X plus 3 and this side would be X plus 3. And then they tell us that the perimeter of the rectangle is 98 inches. So the perimeter is 98. Okay, so now I want to set up an equation and solve. So I know that the perimeter equals all these sides added up. So the perimeter, 98, equals this side plus this side plus this side plus this side. So X plus 3 plus X plus X plus 3 plus X. Since I have like terms on my right-hand side, I'm going to combine those. So what would I get if I added X plus X plus X plus X? 4X. I also have constants I can combine. What do you get if you combine the constants, the positive 3 and the positive 3? A positive 6. And then I bring down my 98. Okay, trying to solve this for X, let me circle everything smushed with my X. Whatever's outside my circle, I add or subtract. So I get rid of my plus 6 by subtracting. The 4x drops, the equals drops. 98 minus 6 makes 92. And then, how do I get rid of my 4? I'm going to divide. So I divide both sides by 4. And 92 divided by 4 makes 23. Now, this over here says make sure you answer the correct question. So let's see. The question said, find the length. So is X the length? Nope. X is the width. So I know my width is 23, and that's in inches. My length says take X and add 3 to it. So if we just found X to be 23, then what's 23 plus 3? 26. So that's my length. The length is 26 inches. And that is what the question asked for, was the length. Okay, we're almost there. All right, number 11. The three sides of a triangle have lengths 2x plus 7, 4x minus 3, 3x minus 11. What is the length of the shortest side if the perimeter is 119? Okay, so this one just says to draw a picture and label. And this problem is different than the last one, so I don't really need to define variables here. I'm just going to put 2x plus 7 on one side of my triangle, 4x minus 3 on another side, and 3x minus 11 on another side. And it doesn't really matter which sides get which label. Okay, and then they tell us that the perimeter is 119. Okay, we already talked about how you find perimeter of a triangle. You just add up all the sides. This side plus this side plus this side. So the perimeter, 119, will equal this plus this plus this. So I'll go ahead and write it all down. 2x plus 7 plus 4x minus 3 plus 3x minus 11. From here, I want to combine like terms because I have them on the same side of the equals. So what is 2x plus 4x plus 3x? 9x. And now I want to combine my constants. What is a positive 7, a negative 3, and a negative 11 get you? You have the answer yet? A negative 7. So I'm going to put minus 7. And then I bring down my equals 119. Okay, let me circle everything smushed with my x. What do I do now? I add my 7. If I add 7 to my 119, I get 126. And then I would divide both sides by 9. And if I take 126 and I divide by 9, I get 14. Now, let's look at what they were asking. It says, what is the length of the shortest side? Well, I need to plug this 14 into this x, see how long it is, into this x, see how long it is, into this x, see how long it is. So if I put 14 into this x, I need to calculate how long that is. And I'm just going to grab the calculator. So I'm going to take the 3 times the 14 and subtract the 11. And that makes that side 31. And that is in centimeters. Okay. Now I'm going to put 14 into this x. So this would be 4 times 14 minus 3. And let's see how long that is. So I'm going to go 4 times 14 minus 3. And that makes that side 53. That is definitely not the shortest side. Okay, and then I'm going to put in 14 into this x. So it would be 2 times 14 plus 7. And let's see how much that comes out to be. So 2 times 14 plus 7, 35. And which side is our shortest side? The 31 centimeters. Okay, quite a bit of work. Hopefully everybody understands. Smiley face. Thank you.